Hi, this is Tracy with Traces of Inspiration. Today is May 1st, 2019. Today's discussion is I don't care. Um, in my life, I've been in a couple of situations where I just did not care for it. Whether it was, individuals' issues, or whether it was someone trying to convince me to care for something, and I just could not find it in me to care. But the issue with that is I knew I didn't care, but I still invested my time and my effort into that situation. And the thing is, when you invest in things that you don't care for, it can be draining. So I found myself pretending that I cared and draining myself in the end. So my thing is if you really don't care about something, don't even waste your energy, your effort, your time, because it's wasteful, it's pointless, and in the long run, basically you'll be affecting yourself. It'll have like a negative impact on you. And I'm learning that it's okay to not care about certain things. Like, I don't have to care about everything that moves someone else, and I don't have to always inconvenience myself just to cater to someone else's needs, especially when that puts me at a complete disadvantage. And I find that I'm depleting because I'm always giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. Like, another thing is, like, when I say that with the whole giving, 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 I've been in situations where, let's say, like, a person comes to me about like a problem. A thing that I do now is, if I feel that I'm constantly drained by the individual who comes to me with situations, now I no longer entertain it. Like, I'm a firm believer that God graces us for situations, for circumstances, and certain people. And, I have a dear sister in Christ where I feel like, me and her, we're constantly, Portia, by the way, I feel like we're constantly going through similar things. And the thing about her is that no matter what she tells me that she's dealing with, um, no matter how much I may feel that she's like, beating a dead horse, like, a conversation, I never feel drained by her. I never feel like I have to pull something deep within myself just to offer her up something. Um, I really believe that we're graced for each other's life. Like, our friendship is a grace friendship. And sometimes that's like a rule of thumb for me, whether or not a person deserves to be in my life or whether I should even entertain the information that they're offering up. People should fuel you and you should fuel them. You should bounce off of each other. You shouldn't feel depleted after consistently interacting with someone. I'm just saying. Another thing lately that I've been going through is I'm growing. With me growing up, there are certain things that I have not been able to tolerate or deal with anymore. And before, I felt like I had to just, force myself to remain or stick in those situations. But I've been learning that it's okay, that I'm changing, that I'm developing into someone new. Certain things that used to move me may not move me anymore. Certain things that I used to like, I may not like anymore, because with true growth comes wisdom, comes maturity, and sometimes we transform into something else. We thought something worked in the past, and it may no longer work anymore. So I'm learning that that's okay. And I'm learning that I have the right to say no. For the longest, I've deemed myself to be this whole people pleaser, trying to say yes to everybody because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings, or I didn't want people feeling like, I just, for the longest in my life, I felt like I have been getting disappointed on top of disappointments on top of disappointments. And I feel like sometimes I function from that area where, because I know what it feels like to be disappointed, um, I try not to allow people to feel that if it's in my power, but sometimes that's a disservice. Like, if you really don't want to do something, it's better to say no than to get involved in that situation and offer up yourself and it be half-heartedly. So I've learned that it's okay to say no sometimes, because the thing is, people tell me no all the time and they're okay. They sleep at night and they move forward. So why can't I say no and be okay with it? So I had to learn that it was something within myself that I have to deal with. And saying no sometimes is really good for me, because then it's not me over committing myself and doing a half job in certain situations. And then it's not me draining myself. Like, I know my limits. Others don't know my limits. I have to set those boundaries, those healthy, clear boundaries. So it's my responsibility to commit to things when I can. But when I realize that committing to something is kind of like impossible, or I won't be able to fulfill it to excellency, then I need not to commit to that. And it's okay to say no. Another thing, pretending. Um, Pretending. So I'm a dreamer. For as long as I can remember, I dreamed vivid dreams. I've been passionate about things that I've planned for my life. Um, and the thing is, as a dreamer, sometimes I can get so stuck in my dreams or stuck in the clouds that I need to come back to reality. It was a blurred line for me recently, where a dream that I kept dreaming or feeling, I wanted it to come to pass so bad that I felt like, okay, well, I'm believing in faith. I don't see it, but if I imagine it to come to pass, or if I imagine it to happen, then it will happen. And lo and behold, it didn't happen. And the thing was, it was like a very specific thing that I was desiring. And it was disappointing. But for the longest, I was pretending. Like, I felt like God was giving me cues of it not being good, but I chose to like pretend and live this lie. And the God that I serve, I'm learning that it's so important to be the authentic us at all times. If I have to be something that I'm not in order to appease you, then we shouldn't be in each other's lives. If I have to if I have to fake as if I'm enjoying something, when in actuality it's bringing me torment or misery, then I have to walk away from that. For the longest time, I've inconvenienced myself in a lot of situations. For example, my personality. I really do not like large settings. I don't like being in crowded areas. Um, like, for me, being in like a room filled with a lot of people, for example, like a concert, I get overwhelmed. Now, I have friends who would consistently, invite me to these events with them. And the entire time that I was there, I was anxious. I felt anxiety. I felt uncomfortable. I was just like heightened with my surroundings. And I just kept placing myself in those situations. But I had to come to a point where I realized, like, Trace, you are extremely comfortable and uncomfortable. I'm sorry. You are extremely uncomfortable when you come into these settings or situations. So why keep placing yourself in it? Stop trying to appease your friends. If you really don't want to do something, just say no. Even if they signed you up for it, that's on them. Like, you don't like being in crowded areas, don't be there. And the thing is, once I started to not force myself to be in these crowded areas, I was okay. Like, I'm more of a small group person, and I do okay in small groups. Granted, there are some situations where I have to be in large crowds, i.e. church. But overall, I've learned that I can balance it. I don't have to force myself to go to concerts, force myself, to be around large crowds. Just do what makes me feel comfortable. But that took growing up, and that took me realizing that my needs and my wants are just as important. And it took me realizing, like, okay, stop people pleasing. Stop just saying yes just to say yes when you know in your heart you really don't want to do it and you're not comfortable. And the people that care for you will understand that you can't do it. It's okay. Also, like, relationships in the past, I would come and approach the situation like, this is me, accept me for who I am, like, I am complicated, sophisticated, I'm an introvert, I'm very caring, giving, those things, like, they are true about me. However, I found myself, let me just share. So, there was this 7 Day Adventist group. I'm not 7 Day Adventist, by the way. Um, but there was this guy who was 7 Day Adventist. Definitely different denominations, him and I. And in the beginning, I made it clear that converting to becoming like a 7 Day Adventist is definitely not something that I wanted to do. But over time, I found myself trying to appease him by attending his church functions, going to go see him preach or whatnot. I just started to try to make myself more appealing to him. So what I thought, or just to, like, if I know that he likes this, then let me give him what he likes. Now the issue about that is that when you start to lose yourself and you're starting to give up your values and your beliefs just to cater to somebody else, that's the mistake. So I felt like I became this whole other person pretending to be something that I was not, just to please or just to prove to this individual that I was for them. Now, that, my friends, is never a good thing to do. So I had to be honest with myself. I had to step away from that situation, and I had to remember who Tracy is, with or without somebody, and that if I have to change who I am just to prove to someone else that I'm worthy enough for them to be in my life, then they are not the person who deserves to be in my life. But I have to know that. We teach people how to treat us, and I taught him wrong. Um, Another thing I had to learn about myself growing up, this is still kind of like with the pretending, or more so, I guess, not knowing who I really was. Um, Growing up, I've always been this free spirited person, meaning I would freely dance, freely laugh, bounce around, just have fun, just enjoy life. But at some place in time, with trauma that I dealt with, and with, my elders, I'm Haitian, and, well, at least with my family, appearance is a huge thing. So I felt like growing up, I would have, like, the older adult woman tell me, you have to behave like this. You have to appear like this. You must talk like this. You must do this. You must do that. And at some point, hearing that recording constantly in the back of my mind, I felt like I started to become robotic. I lost who I was because I was so focused and so caught up on how people perceive me versus just being an authentic me. So I'm saying that all to say that I had to realize that I kind of don't really care what people think. For the longest, I've been functioning from a place of caring what people felt or thought about me or how they perceive me, and that just left me in bondage. I'm a great person, and if you can't see it, that's your loss. But I'm not gonna like start talking a different way just to cater to you. I'm not going to start, like limiting myself as far as my creativity just to make you feel good, because maybe, you don't have what I have, but guess what? You have something else amazing that I may not have, you know? But I had to remind myself about that, like to stay in my lane and just be me, do me, be that free spirited person. I may not like to be in people's space all the time. I may not like attention, and that's okay. I don't have to like attention. I may not like to always wear weave, or straighten my hair, and that's okay. And if I wanted to, that would be fine too. I may be slim or slender. I don't have to be thick. I'm good the way that I am. I have to love me. I have to live with me, you know? So just things like that. Because, yeah, in my culture, oh, they want you to be thick, honey. Oh, your hair got to be laid, honey. Oh, you got to wear makeup. Oh, you trying to snatch your husband. Bruh, listen, my husband, he going to love Tracy for Tracy. It's not going to be something that I pretended to be. He's going to see the real me. He's going to see through me. He's going to see my soul and still find me beautiful. Still find me to be the best thing that has ever happened to him. Apart from God, that is. You know? But I'm getting to that point of realizing that. I'm learning to undo the expectations people placed on me. I'm learning to undo the negativity that I heard over time. I'm learning to undo perceived beauty. And I'm just learning to like love me, embrace who I am, flaws and all, and just do Tracy. And everyone may not like me, and that's okay. But as long as I know that I'm being my true self and I'm trying my best to do everything that God has required of me and I'm pleasing to Him, that's what matters.